What's happening, internet? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Adrian, aka Foamm X Cosplay. If you're new to my channel, I make a lot of cosplay tutorials, fan films, movie and TV reviews, fitness and fandom, and everything else in between. So if you like my content, please make sure to leave a like, comment, definitely subscribe to my channel. Black Widow finally came out. Did I enjoy it? Yes, because of Red Guardian. We're going to start with making his helmet. And without further ado, let's get creative. For this build, you will need EVA foam, plenty of craft foam, sewing garters, red spray paint, black, silver, and red acrylic paint, black rubber spray, clear coat spray, hot glue, and plenty of contact cement, a heat gun, a Dremel tool, sandpaper, wall repair cream, a cutter and scissors, and pencils and a ruler. As usual, step 1 will be to gather as many reference images as possible. Rather than draw a template, what I did was I drew a general guide of what I wanted the front and the side to look like, and that would be the basis for the way that I made this work. Once my blueprints were done, I then started with the front portion of the mask. If you look closely at the design, the helmet was made to be 2 pieces, where it splits down the middle and the front part of the mask comes off from the helmet part. First thing I did was I sketched the design onto EVA foam, and once I was happy with the general shape, I then cut that out. Nice and neat. I then cut grooves into the eyebrows and into the nose piece so that it would be easier to shape. And once it's time to shape, you bring out the good old heat gun. Never let it linger in one spot, and then in general, I don't use it for more than 10 seconds at a time. Keep shaping it until you get a Phantom of the Opera style shape. It should have some curves to it. Once the mask part was done, it was time to make the helmet area. I wrap cling wrap around my head just to get maximum coverage. I did not cover my nose. Once you do that, then you grab your duct tape and very closely, very tightly, and very carefully wrap that around the clear wrap. If you do it properly, it should slip right off your head, yet still be nice and snug if you decide to put it back on. Once it was off my head, I then started breaking it down into smaller shapes. Just sketch the pieces down, break it down, so that when you lay it flat on EVA, then you glue the EVA together, it's gonna turn out just fine. Cut the cap in half, trace it over in EVA foam, cut that out, and then you heat it so that you can round it out later. Once it's nice and warm, you then apply contact cement to all of the places that you're gonna stick together. And then you leave it to dry. It's tacky, because once you stick it together, it's gonna hold. Once you start gluing it down, roll it around the table so that you get maximum coverage, gaps. Once you stick the two halves together, you can then stick the helmet in front, and then you pretty much have your base helmet. What comes next is gonna be detailing and fixing the shape. It's good. It's one of the first helmets I've made in a long while, and it turned out pretty well. But we can do a bit better than this. After shaping it further with the heat, it was then time to fill in the gaps so that you had more wiggle room in terms of creativity. So here comes the wall repair cream. Just blot it into place like toothpaste, as much as you need before spreading it out nice and even to cover all of the holes and fill in all of the gaps. If it's too clumped up or too rough, you're gonna have to sand it down later. I left that to dry overnight, and then when I came back to it, I then sanded it down to get a more smooth texture. And then I hit it with the heat gun again to get the right shape, remove any small particles, and prep it for the second layer made of craft foam. I started by making the top mohawk. And if you're gonna make a lot of costumes, it's better to have the large amounts of craft foam and then just cut it to the proper specifications. Once it was ready, I then applied a liberal amount of contact cement, maximum coverage, waited for it to dry, used the heat gun when I got a bit impatient, and then I stuck it in place. Now that I had my helmet looking like Mr. T, I then decided it was time for the silver strip. So I cut a thinner strip once again out of craft foam to stick on top of the first layer of craft foam. And then on a separate piece, I made the center star. I then placed that on top of the silver strip and then cut around it so that it would form the star shape. Once again, contact cement is the way to go. Apply, dry, stick. Looking good so far, looking good. Now to get the proper ear hole shape, I then had to cut out some pieces, start carving out a bit more just to get it even on both sides before adding the cheek extensions, which is what really makes this helmet different from Captain America's. Simple shape, just cut it out of EVA and then separate the bottom piece because that's gonna be black. I then made the angry eyebrow pieces as well as a larger nose shape, and then it was time to make the side panels. To get the right shape, I took a long strip, placed it against it, then started drawing around the ear hole, and just make your adjustments. Since we're doing this freehand, you're gonna be adjusting a lot. Stick those in place, and then it's time to make the silver accessories out of craft foam. Red Guardian has those silver latches that appear on old lunchboxes as well as early Power Rangers helmets. So you're just gonna make that out of several strips of craft foam. You're then gonna glue the base strips along the side before gluing these into place. Now, I didn't use hot glue for this nearly as much as I did for all of my other projects, but I did still use it because the Red Guardian helmet has a lot of ridges along the side. So to get that raised texture, I used hot glue. Just go over all of it like piping, and it should be fine. Just let the glue dry for a little bit and then heat seal it with the heat gun. And then it's time to bring it outside for its primer coat. The reason I use rubber spray is because I found that it doesn't crack and it has a nice even coat which I can use for primer. One of the main things I learned is spray as far away from your piece as possible. Between 6 inches to a foot away, and the paint should be nice and even as long as you use long strokes. I hit that with 1 or 2 layers, then I left it for about an hour or so, coming back to hit it with the red. This took several coats to get right, but after a while I was finally happy with it. And you leave that to dry. I left mine to dry about overnight and then for an additional 3 or 4 hours or so before I decided it was ready to bring in and then hand paint. I started with silver. Took me a hot minute before I realized I actually had silver acrylic on hand, but once I did, it was smooth sailing. Just paint it, go over it with several coats. Nice long strokes, try not to get any on the red parts. After painting the silver pieces, it was time to go to the black pieces, such as the lower cheek guard, and then highlighting the red mohawk portion. And then if it went overboard, I just took cotton earbuds and then hit it with alcohol, and then that allowed me to remove any excess paint before it dried. Same thing for the helmet division, just make a line, and same for the 3 black front vents. Once that was done, I then darkened the side bits by dry brushing very lightly some black paint, spread that out. It's gonna be a bit too dark in some places, so what you're gonna do is you're gonna take a ball of cotton, add some alcohol to it, then just rub it around until the black spreads around to make it a darker shade of red. And then you start adding some silver dry brushing effect to make it look like the red paint chipped off and left some silver scuffing. This is what really makes the helmet look lived in. After that, that's pretty much the helmet. You then go outside one more time, hit it with clear coat, make sure it's nice and covered, and there you go. All we have left are the finishing touches, aka the helmet straps. You don't really need this, it should be snug to your head, but everyone needs helmet straps. So I just measured the garter to go from the back of the head to under the cheek piece, and then 2 more strips which were supposed to go around your chin. Just split that in half, glue those together, and then your helmet's done. And there you have it, the helmet worn by Alexei Shastakov, aka Red Guardian. And that was how I made my Red Guardian helmet from Black Widow. If you enjoy my content and want to see more of it, please make sure to leave a like, comment, and definitely subscribe to my channel. Until next time, props to you and costumes too. Peace!